All right, welcome to the Black Mesa Radio with your hosts,
Chase,
Nate,
Seth,
and Josh. Today we're going to be talking about education, space, and everything in between. So, let's get going.
Seth, I was talking to you earlier about what you're going through right now with going to your school and they're making you take a class which you don't need. Why do we do that?
Well, I mean...
Money.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't need it. I have a degree in history. I don't need a American Government 1. Like I said, like I was telling you, it's basically like a high school class in there. I mean...
You should probably preface it by saying it's a community college class.
It is a community college course, I will say that, yeah. But, it's something I definitely don't need, and it's all money. I mean, that's all it's become. I mean, look how much books cost.
But what about, so your major is what exactly?
It's computer programming.
Oh, man.
Computer programming.
I need to find the number.
So first off, the fact that you have to get a class that has nothing to do with the degree you're trying to get frustrates me. And then the fact that you already have a degree in history and essentially American government was involved in that degree.
Well,
they're still making you take that.
Well, I mean, I can kind of understand having, some courses that aren't over what you're studying just in case, you get a ways into it and realize you don't like it, you don't want to do it anymore. At least you'll be like, well, I kind of have a groundwork for switching to something else. So that kind of makes sense. But yeah, like the whole fact that I have a degree in history and I've taken multiple U.S. government courses over the course of that degree, then making me take, the level 1 course is just ridiculous.
And I mean, you argued your point too. Like, you took it all the way to the dean of admissions. Like, this is why I don't need to take this class. And then
she was like, sorry, nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Even though there was.
Sorry, there's nothing I can do, even though I set the schedule.
Everybody's hands tied?
There's nothing she can do.
No, they're not tied, though. That's the thing. It's all bureaucracy. Bureaucracy exists in the form that it exists to make scapegoats. So people can say, sorry, I can't do anything, and then they can just charge you more money. Because if nobody's accountable for anything ever, then nobody has to be, accountable. No one has to answer for what's going on.
You sound like a guy who's been flipped over by a school before.
We're not going to talk about about my school experiences.
We don't have to mention names.
No, Bida, Barrack, and Biston University.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's in Oklahoma.
In Borb, Oklahoma.
It's not in Borb, Oklahoma. It's in Boklahoma Biddy.
Oklahoma Titty.
Boklahoma Titty. Anyway, continue. Go ahead, Chase.
Could have said city.
I was saying that I had the same problem that Seth did at this same exact school. The fact that I just needed my associate's degree in chemistry. I just needed to apply for it. I had already gone to school there and gotten all of my prerequisites for it. And so I went back after I'd attended another school. I was like, hey, I just need my associate's degree in chemistry. And they said, sorry, you're going to have to take Success in College Life, which was the very first class you have to take. I was like, listen, I have already succeeded in college life because I've passed all of my classes.
I'm coming to you to ask you to sign off on my associate's degree that I've already earned. I've clearly succeeded.
Yeah, and the fact that I had already taken all these classes, but when I started, I didn't have to take this. It wasn't required. But since I didn't go to this school continuously, whatever had been enacted after I left, I had to take again.
That's insane.
Or not take again.
So, here we go. Since 1978, educational books for the purposes of college have inflated 812%.
Which surprises nobody.
And you sell them back for $2 after you paid $200.
Yeah.
That's why Amazon is a blessing.
They turn it around and sell it again for the same price.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a professor that said that it was like, there's only a few things that are like okay to steal, like food, medicine, and college books?
I believe so,
Steal this book.
I forget who was telling me that.
Well,
I think it was you.
And also I have one professor who, like, purposefully, like, out of his own pocket, like, photocopied the book multiple times and gave it out to, like,
that's a great man.
students.
So awesome.
Which it didn't cost him very much. It cost him less than one college textbook.
I like to imagine that he like flipped off the library as they were like, "You're making too many copies."
Man, it's funny that you mentioned that because I had a professor who would make photocopies of the book, but only for one person. So she didn't have to buy the textbook, but everyone else did.
Was there a reason?
What reason do you need? It was just out of his own volition. There was no scholarship application to get like a free textbook or anything like that. And everybody else who was broke because you're in college was like, why don't I get a free textbook? Why don't you go photocopy it from me? Professors are so biased. Like, they get to do whatever they want to. Like, it's so crazy how different college is than high school. Besides the coursework level, just the leniency that professors get themselves.
Do you
They can
agree
do
with the concept
whatever
of
they want.
tenure?
I think that you have to prove yourself.
I
And I
guess-
believe that.
And no.
I did my time.
Well, the thing about it is yes and no, because I think that, if a professor is, a good professor or teacher or whatever, and is there for a certain amount of time, their job should be secure. But if they, even if you have a good teacher who's there for, long enough to get tenure, and then suddenly their productivity and just, how good of a professor they are just plummets, they shouldn't be like, hey, I got tenure, I can do whatever I want. It should be maybe it's something that should be renewed, but then it's not tenure, so I don't really know how to.
I don't think I believe in it.
Well, I mean, what about
As in, you're not
No.
sure it exists, or as in you don't like it?
What?
Just go ahead.
No, I know it exists.
it's not like fairies.
I know it exists, but I just don't think I don't think I agree with it. Because then professors get to do all this crappy stuff, like what you're talking about, like show favoritism and do all this bullcrap stuff that like they shouldn't be able to do, but they can do it because they can't be fired.
But there are good ones that I've had that I'm like, yeah, they definitely deserve to have tenure and not get fired. I've had a few
I don't
of
think
those.
anybody should be able to not get fired. Like, what if it's a really good professor and then
That's
all of a
true.
sudden they just start doing crazy stuff? Like,
Have
I don't know
you-
why they would, but if they just like fly off the
Well, you can get
flew
your
off the
tenure
handle.
revoked.
Well, that's the fun.
I don't know if I know enough about how tenure works because I unfortunately am not a professor who gets to do whatever I want to.
What? Well, that's the fundamental problem with government work also, like with federal employees.
Exactly. You rise to your
because
level
they
of incompetence
can't
and
be
then you can't
fired.
get fired.
No, they can't. I worked for the government
That's why I'm
for 5
trying to
years.
get a government job.
Dude,
Well, yeah, I mean that's a real
Get a cushy government
absolutely,
job.
Yes.
dude. Yeah, definitely.
Dude, if
They
I was a
have frack
government
chemists?
programmer, oh my god.
hey, by the way, remind me to talk to you for a minute or later.
For a minute later?
For a minute later. 1
Wait.
minute.
Exactly.
Talking about talking later on the podcast.
Yeah, I know that's rude, isn't it?
Butt out, listeners. This isn't for you.
We're gonna take a minute. Just do
Earmuffs
our own
real
thing.
quick. We're gonna have a
Earmuffs,
secret
kids.
conversation.
No, I actually got into a conversation at work today about, this is weird that we're talking about education, because it was about education, but also like heavily coated with conspiracy theories, which was
Ooh.
really fun.
I love conspiracy theories.
I know, right?
Me too. Oh, we should.
I don't believe in conspiracy theories. They're just normal facts.
What about?
They're just facts that people say I'm crazy for believing.
Dale Gribble proved that.
Can you unpack that a little bit? Because that was an interesting statement.
Well, what's a conspiracy theory? Like, people say the word conspiracy theory as if, oh, that automatically disproves it. A conspiracy theory, if you just take the literal definition, is a group of people who have a specific plan.
Well, like I once told a guy that he was a conspiracy theorist, and he just looked at me and he was like, "Everything's a conspiracy," and I was like, "Okay, yeah."
Well,
you're
I mean,
right."
because when you think about it,
Everything is a
conspiracy
conspiracy
theory is just saying that it's theorized, like you would with anything scientific. Like it's a possibility that this is happening. You have evidence, possibly. You have reasoned, thought out arguments, depending on who it is, to create that theory. So it's a theory, like a thought out theory of a conspiracy or something happening. So it's not really, if you think of it from scientific terms, it's not really that weird or that like crazy.
yeah, I agree. And anytime two people are talking about doing something, they're like conspiring.
It's true.
This
So, I
is
mean,
true.
It's all
But-
of government
so-
is a conspiracy.
But what's deemed, and I'm doing quotes right now. I hope you can see that.
Air
on
quotes,
the-
listeners.
on the podcast. That a conspiracy theory is usually deemed something that is so outlandish that it's not true.
That's
And
true.
if you look at all what people say are coincidences, they seem to not be coincidences. Like you could take one or maybe two coincidences and say, okay, that's just a happenstance. But when you keep going, it's not a conspiracy theory anymore. It's like, why are they doing this? Why are we allowing this to happen? How did we let this undermining of our authority come about?
Well, if you're looking at patterns, though, I mean, humankind is hardwired to see patterns in everything. What's it called? Pareidolia?
Yeah, and humans are
Pareidolia.
hardwired
Pareidolia.
to be
Yeah.
patternistic. So when we read other people's patterns,
Well, what he's
Sometimes
saying
a
is
cigar is just a cigar.
it's the same theory as in like pareidolia
A
is
woman
when
is
you
just
like
a woman, but a cigar is a smoke.
It's the same theory as when you look at like
Winston
a couple of stoplights put together and it kind of looks like a face. Like that's what pareidolia is.
Because that's
you're programmed to see patterns.
Okay, so we're going to break
Similar
this down
shapes.
into a quick lesson in mathematics. There are two things.
Boo.
One thing I want to say before you get started on math.
God dang it!
Sorry. I just derailed the math train. No, but like,
Yes!
I feel like
God.
the only
Best
thing, anytime
derailment.
someone's bringing up conspiracy theories, all you got to do is like, what are they? The only question you really have to ask is, what do they stand to gain? That's the way I look at
Yeah,
it.
the
Who
best
stands
thing
to
you can
gain
do
what?
is-
And if you can prove that they stand to gain something, then it's like, okay, now you have my attention.
So
Follow the
essentially.
money.
Yeah, follow the money. Motive.
Yeah, so it's not just patterns, but yeah, follow the money. Anyway, go ahead.
There are two theories in mathematics that do not exist in the world that we know. The first one is infinity. It's a theory. It's a mathematical enigma. It does not exist in this universe. The second one is, I just had a brain fart. Second one is randomness.
Good save.
They have not been able to find anything that is completely random in this universe, except for pi and E.
The writings
so
of
it's safe to
Douglas
say that
Adams.
anything that seems random, we just don't understand.
well, you know what's weird about random is that this is just kind of
Science.
a little.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's a little off topic, but it has to do with randomness. I mean, like whenever they were designing the iPod, like they had the shuffle feature, people were writing them, letters and sending them emails saying, like, this isn't random. I'm seeing, like, songs of certain genres or certain artists playing back to back. This is not random, blah, blah, blah. And they looked at it like, this is completely random. This is just what is happening. So they actually changed the program and made it less random by, putting certain constrictions on what can and cannot be played back to back. So they made it less random to make it seem more random.
Tricks.
And I just find that really interesting.
That's awesome. I like that.
I don't know how to comment on that. That's really weird. But
Yeah, well, it was just a side
I think
note.
the lesson is that the human mind is easy to trick,
It is.
the thing is that
especially if you don't understand algorithms.
everything that like the universe is
Who
put out
understands algorithms?
in a pattern. Like the output of galaxies has a pattern. They're not just placed out there randomly in a vast vortex of entropy. Like there is a pattern to it. And if you look at it, it looks very much like synapses of a neuron, which is really interesting in itself, which is a topic for another day. But when you are seeing patterns in this world, for humans are pattern-based creatures. Just like you say, I agree with that. And thus, since they are pattern-based, you can predict what they're doing, essentially.
Yeah.
And conspiracy theory specifically about the monetary system, or I guess we could go to education as well. Are there certain educational things that are being pushed upon us for money?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, everybody. Okay, so who stands the most to gain from a ignorant society? Go.
The government. Oh my god.
Pharmaceutical companies?
Elite.
Freaking yeah, just the elite. Yeah. Best answer.
Which is interesting because
Them.
I think we all knew this, but
They are not us. We are the 1%.
Sir, we are they.
we are the 1%.
Like Juan? The 1%.
The 1%. No, but okay, so the people who have the most to gain by keeping people dumbed down, keeping people illiterate, keeping tests standardized, teaching kids week to week to pass tests
The
instead
working
of
class.
No, we teach kids week to week to pass the next test. We don't teach them how to learn, how to critically think. We teach them, here is what you need to know to pass this next standardized test. That's what we do. Who has the most to gain from that? The people that are making the choices.
You know what else sucks? Just about what they're starting to teach now. There's like a huge thing going through. I mean, I don't know if it's still one. I heard about it not too long ago. That they're trying to make it to where they're going to stop teaching American history before the Civil War. So that would completely eliminate the Constitution.
What important event happened before the Civil War, though? We didn't have iPods. We didn't have texting. I mean, I don't see the point.
I want to kick you in the head.
I think, yeah, just like Joe was saying, there are people to gain from this, which would be the elite. But to prove the point that there is an elite class, I want to say that there was a recent Harvard study that came out in 2014 that tried to ascertain what type of society are we actually living in. What is the type of mobility that we have? Who can be what, essentially?
Was it an oligarchy?
Yes. In fact, the Harvard
heard that
study
before?
concluded that it is an oligarchy. There is an elite class that runs everything, and everybody underneath that is what would be called the working class. We're just a bunch of peasants.
Is that all oligarchy is? Is like a ruling, like an elite ruling
It's
class?
oligarchy
rich.
is a rule by the elite. A rule by the elite.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
it
just
should be the
republicanism
rule
though? Like, isn't that
Nah.
No, not in the truest sense. No.
because like in an oligarchy you don't really have a choice, like who rules? It's just,
Yeah.
like, whoever. Okay,
Well, because there's two different ways of looking at an oligarchy.
but I feel like
There's
republicanism lends itself to oligarchy. Like it seems like oligarchy would be
a
result of
republic
that.
itself can easily turn into an oligarchy with an ignorant populace.
yeah.
I think
But
that's
there's
why
also-
they tried to make a democratic republic. I think the Constitution was very well designed to try and keep these things from happening. Unfortunately, we have had certain amendments to the Constitution which don't allow for such. And also, it's not just amendments, it's about the mindset of society itself.
Dominance by parties has had a huge impact.
The bipartisan,
Yeah. Well, just by parties in general.
well,
The
bipartisan,
party
sorry,
I was
dual
invited
party
to.
system.
Any party.
It's so much easier though, because like someone says, "I'm a Republican," and you're like, "Okay, I know where you stand on
It's
guns. I know where you stand
It's the
on
definition
all
of
these
a
issues."
false dilemma. It's saying
It is.
it's either this or this, and you're like, no.
But it's not.
It's like when somebody asks you where you go to church. Like I remember Denton talking about this one time, but he was saying when somebody asks you where you go to church, they're kind of asking what you believe. Like,
Yeah.
because
Shout
different
out to
churches
Denton
believe
Field.
different. Yeah.
What?
Denton
How
Field's
can I
awesome.
categorize you? I'm trying to put you in
Listen
my
to his
file
podcast.
folder.
we need to get him on here.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
just because he asked. I'm
He did
saying
ask.
no.
I was actually going to talk to you guys about that. He wants to be on here, but we'll talk about it later.
I'm voting for it.
I'm voting for it.
Denton,
Skyping him in
I will
right
let
now.
you in if I can hit you in the nuts.
He might let you.
And I would totally let him on if he would let me hit him in the nuts. I will
Sorry,
stand
other
by my word.
listeners who aren't Denton Field. Continue, Nathan, with what you were saying.
Was I saying something?
Oh, maybe it was
What was I
Chase.
saying?
One of you was talking.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah, churches and what you believe. And political party is the same thing. It's just like, if you say you're a Democrat, then all of a sudden I know where you stand on all these different things. Except I think the Republicans and Democrats are getting a lot more similar. And I actually think liberals and conservatives are getting more similar too, like, that aren't in the government. Because like, there's like a new conservatism that's happening, I think. And it's almost like
Neoconservatism.
it's like a weird form of libertarianism that a lot of people are adopting, where they have
Yeah.
all these like super progressive ideas as alongside like all these super conservative ideas.
Well, and it's what happens is there's this huge jumbling of words. Like liberalism has been snatched away and means something completely different, and conservatism has been snatched and means something completely different than the actual denotative form of it. Liberalism, I would consider myself a liberal in the most literal sense, as I believe in personal freedoms in almost every sense. If you don't mess with somebody else, then you can do whatever you want
Don't
to.
start
that's
none,
libertarianism.
won't be none.
Exactly, yeah.
But
Will
the thing
Smith
is
had it
that
all
liberal
figured
or
out.
is it conservative?
Well,
Because like, the
Earth.
conservative says, I want a small government.
It
I
would
don't want the
actually,
government said.
okay,
I
in
know
today's
that's not what he
society,
said.
that would be neither conservative nor liberal, because there's certain parts of liberalism
That's true.
that wants to take away your liberties and give you
Liberalism,
others.
it seems, wants to I mean, I could be wrong. I don't want to make anybody mad when I say this or put anybody in a box.
Very
but
mad.
Liberalism, it seems like they're all about controlling like the economy and like things like that, whereas Republicans are like, stay out of my business, but they also want to control like who you can marry, like so like lifestyle type things, whereas like liberals want to control.
One is about economic control. The other one is about personal freedom control.
Yeah.
But
Which is crap that you have to choose between those. That's stupid.
That's why it's a false dilemma.
we're getting way too political.
We are.
But what I will say, no, that's too. We're gonna like lose all of our listeners.
They're already gone.
They're gone.
Just a bunch of Rush Limbaughs in there.
I think we're pretty far away from.
We're
that.
making sense though. I don't know. And we're not choosing a side. We're not choosing a party. We're saying that it's stupid. Like the whole system is stupid.
I got yelled at. I posted a meme on Reddit the other day after a bunch of people were just ranting about how they're like, oh, Obama slammed the Republicans, and like another guy was like, this is how the Republicans
It
are
was so
responding.
funny.
And it was amazing. And I was like, I'm mad at both parties right now. I'm mad at the Democrats because they're perpetuating party rivalry. And I'm mad at the Republicans because they're doing the same thing, but like pointing out that they're perpetuating party rivalries. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Dude, it pisses me off so bad when I watch speeches like that, and like there's a Republican sitting on one side and the Democrat sitting on one side, and like one of them, like one side is always stone faced, like with their arms crossed and like, yeah, and then like the other side is like clapping, and like they're just like stand up and
that's
sit
why-
down, and
okay.
they just alternate. I'm like,
We just had the State of the Union for all of our
I
listeners.
can't even say what I want to say because I'm trying to censor myself. But
I
like,
I completely agree.
Ugh.
What is the point I had posted something on
So
my
riled
Facebook
up.
page about Seth Rogen had just talked about the nationalist propaganda that the American Sniper movie may have had. I don't necessarily disagree with him. I just think he needs to have some cohesiveness in his mind. If he thinks that that is nationalist propaganda, then what did he think about the State of the Union address? Personally, like, it really is. Like, it's just this big harumph, and it's like Team America, where everybody's like, oh, go. People clapping, just like you say. It's really stupid. Like, people clapping and people saying, like, I just want to hear what the president has to say. I don't even like the guy that much. I just want to hear what he has to say.
I legitimately want to hear the State of the Union.
Dude.
Right. I just want to hear it without people clapping and like, I get it.
Nate
You're a
is seething
Democrat.
right
You're
now.
a Republican. I know what you're going to clap for and what you're going to harumph at.
Dude, there's so much propaganda out there too. Like, I don't know why we get mad over like certain forms of propaganda and like not others. Like, I think the fact that you show drug commercials in this country is wrong. Like,
Other countries don't.
Elaborate.
Other countries don't. Like, we show commercials for drugs and crap and like, ask your doctor if this is right for you. Like, no, don't freaking bother your doctor. Like, he went to school for a long time to know this kind of
if your
crap.
doctor thinks you need to have this, he'll tell you.
I saw a
And
commercial
people
for
are
morphine.
stupid.
Is that right
You
for
don't
me?
know what kind of drugs you need. You're stupid. You're as stupid as I am, at least.
Whoa. You're getting into my personal freedom, Nathan.
You're stupid, Chase.
Damn it.
And you don't get to choose what drugs you need.
Yes, I do.
Not really. You're not stupid, and I love you all.
Okay,
If you're
so
listening to us, then you're smart enough.
hopefully, I would say so. So
Don't send us emails.
this was my point. I kind of got sidetracked. I'm sorry.
That was a dumb rant.
This
I like
isn't
it. It was fun.
political. It's about the dissatisfaction of the status quo.
Yeah.
what it is.
So I posted this comment, and all I said was, I saw all these pro-Democrat, pro-Republican, anti-Democrat, anti-Republican rants on Reddit because I follow a lot of different like political
because you're
pages,
obsessed.
kinda. And I got really annoyed because all it was just splitting the country more. People are like, yeah, Obama let him have it. And they're like, Republicans shouldn't take this. And I'm like, why can't we focus on the fact that we're all being kept down, that we're all being silenced and we're being distracted by a reality show playing out in like politics? And I posted this meme, and it was a you're gonna have a bad time meme. And all it said was, if you think that either party has your best interest in mind, you're gonna have a bad time. And so many people got mad at me, and they were like, well, being a cynical something about it is not gonna make it any better. They're like, you gotta have a side.
I
was like,
I agree.
no,
I'm
you
going to say
don't.
something. It's going to make some people mad.
I'm on my side.
In our last local elections here in Oklahoma, I did not vote because I just so disenfranchised with everything that was going on. Like, I don't like any of you. I guess I could have went and voted for certain bills, I guess, but to vote for certain people, I just like, I don't like you. I don't like any of you. Why would I choose?
I didn't like either one either, but what I wanted to do, which I didn't get to do because I got off work late and I wasn't able to vote.
They're supposed to let you go.
I did not.
That's a law. They have to let you go to
I will ask
vote.
about that. But
Let him go.
but I was just gonna vote for whoever wasn't the incumbent, just to get some change in
I
there.
could see that.
Just like throw a wrench in things and like, hey, let's figure out something different.
Okay.
Well,
there's-
my point was I wasn't being cynical though. I was just saying that neither party has your best interest in mind, and you need to be looking out for yourself when you go out there and when you're making these choices.
Yeah.
And people thought I was saying that you shouldn't vote. Like one guy was like, "Oh, so we shouldn't vote now?" Okay, OP. And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying.
Here's how I feel. After this last national election for the House of Representatives specifically, that all of the Republicans were voted in. Now they have a majority or not a super majority, but anyways, I don't remember exactly what it's called. More Republicans got into office, and I was really hoping they would have voted out Bono, the Speaker of the House. And they didn't. And that would be the only reason that I voted for any of the Republicans. To get somebody new into the system, and they didn't. They just kept it the way it is. So I'm like, okay, if I vote for the Democrats, they're going to do what I don't want. If I vote for the Republicans, they're going to do what I don't want. And last year, I officially changed my status to independent because I can't be one of the party line towers. It's just absolutely obnoxious.
Yeah.
I'll take one of those.
So, I don't know. The whole system is ridiculous. No, thank you, sir. No, thank you, sir, should be our tagline.
Shock top here, I get you. Oh, not shock top. Just beer. Just
Orange flavored Belgian white here.
sorry. I was going
Get it
somewhere
while
with
it's
that, but
cold.
just-
All right, does anybody have
Seth did what I wanted to do. I feel bad.
I feel bad now. So,
As you should.
I hope Shop Top enjoys what we have to say. I just said it again. It's probably not.
You can say things. We're not famous. It's okay.
It's true.
We're literally.
But that also means we have no money, and if worse comes to worse,
and they sue us, we're done.
Well,
we're screwed.
crap.
Whatever. I'm super famous in my neighborhood. I'm that guy who doesn't talk to anybody.
Being an introvert is not famous, buddy.
Yeah, that's everybody.
Actually, I think that's the
Infamous?
opposite.
Is that infamous?
I don't know.
No.
Old man Chase says, talk to your neighbors.
Get off my lawn! Quit pooing on my yard!
Dude, there's
Kids.
a giant dog poop in your yard, by the way.
Oh, I know. It makes me so angry.
It's so huge. Anyway, go ahead, Nathan.
I just wanted to say, I live on a street, and it's street on the name. And then there's also a version of my street that's blank place at the end.
Oh, I
And
hate
like
that.
they get our mail and we get their
Is there
mail.
also
and
an
they're always
avenue?
Screwing it up. And just the other day, like I ordered something on Amazon. I don't remember what it was, but I was really looking forward to it getting to my house. And I got home that day, and it's almost always there when I get home. And I was like, crap, it wasn't there, and it was supposed to be. And I was like, dang it. And then I was like kind of worried about it. And then the people in place like brought it over, and they were like, "Hey, we brought this over because like we're cool and we do that."
Best
and
friends
nice."
forever.
Yeah, and I was like, "Thank you so much." And I don't know, like it just kind of renewed my faith in humanity a little bit because I
That's
totally
good.
could just torn it open and be like, "Is this something valuable that we could sell?" But they didn't.
Yes.
That's
yes,
the
it
thing.
is.
And I talk about, I think the majority of people are decent people,
What?
honestly.
Okay, no, I made that argument a couple years ago, and you were like, no. Everybody's
no, no.
terrible.
Josh,
That's
people
good.
change.
People can change their opinions, Josh.
No,
I know, I
I still
just wanna-
disagree with you.
Maybe Chase is a decent person now.
We can't talk
Ooh.
about that because that's a
That'll
completely
be the
different
day.
conversation.
I'm just saying, it's going on the record. Chase thinks people are decent.
We have a recording of it now.
Okay.
That's not what he said. Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty, I said.
No,
pretty
that's
much
what he said. He said inherently people are decent.
No, I did not say inherently. I said the majority of people are decent.
I don't
not
think people are
inherently.
inherently decent either.
Anyway,
But-
continue.
The minority can set the tone. They set the pace, they set the agenda, and which is what I think plays a major role in conspiracies. I personally believe that right now, just like the Harvard study shows, that we have a political class of people. Like there's political families, the Kennedys. They're always in there. We have the Bushes, we have the Clintons.
Nixon's
God
too.
forbid we have another Bush or Clinton in the White House
We're gonna.
in 2016. No,
Gonna happen.
I'm gonna freak out. Anyways,
Jeb and Hillary are both going to be running, and they're both going to win their.
I don't know.
They're both gonna win.
Did you hear Romney
They're gonna get
saying,
married.
I want to be president?
they're gonna. She's
Which,
No one
in my
cares about
opinion, is,
him.
is exactly why somebody shouldn't be president if they want to be
But
president.
I
besides
agree. Good point.
the ruling class of politicians that we have, I believe there are certain other wealthy individuals who like to stay under the radar because they're smart, that who are actually pulling the strings. And I think the 2008 election of President Obama really lends to this. And I want to say why. Because we got a reality check and an IQ test in the 2008 election. When Barack Obama came out of nowhere, some senator
That's
from
not true.
Chicago. Whoa.
Go
Let
ahead.
me finish my
Okay.
thought.
Okay, you can finish your thought
A senator from Chicago
before I dismantle it.
who had not completely finished his term, that had not proven himself, that had really done nothing, that had not showed himself able to be the president of the United States, he was made by somebody. He was a nobody, and then everybody just started to gawk over him. Somebody put him in the limelight.
Reality show, like what Josh said.
Pretty much.
A reality
and then
show of
everybody
politics.
bit it, hook, line, and sinker. We took the bait on that.
That's because it was happening before 2008. It was happening before 2006. It was happening in 2005 because I remember
just said
sitting
the
in
2008 election.
I remember sitting in World Politics at Westmore and reading every week. Our professor or teacher, I can't remember her name at the time. Sorry if you're listening. She's not. Anyway, she would have us read Time Magazine and Newsweek, and we'd have to pick out an article and read about it. And I did an article over a young senator in Illinois, and it was Obama, and I did a little thing about him. And that's why whenever he was running in 2008, I was like, hey, I know that guy. I did a thing about him. And they were talking about how he was like the future of politics and how he was going to be completely different in 2006. So he had been picked way before we even thought about it.
That's what I'm saying. He was
groomed.
made by somebody. He personally hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
He was being
So I guess I proved
set
your
up.
point. You're right.
Yeah, I think we're definitely agreeing right now.
Dang it. I hate agreeing with Chase.
Dude, politicians are a lot like pop stars. They get like picked out by a producer, like a studio, or however that happens,
Simon
to be
Cowell.
famous.
The invention of the television really changed politics a lot. Are you familiar with the Kennedy-Nixon debates?
Harry Truman, Doris
Yeah.
Day, Ray Johnson,
The fact that the radio was still very, very prominent, but TV was really starting to come around.
Old-fashioned
It was
radio.
the first ever televised debate.
Yes, it was. And the people who listened to it on the radio definitely said that Nixon won that debate. And the majority of
No,
people
no, no,
who
I have
saw
heard
it
of
on the
this.
TV said that JFK won the debate.
It's like Nixon refused makeup.
JFK was
Right, yeah.
a handsome fella.
Yeah, and also like I said,
good-looking man.
Nixon
And a
refused
war hero.
makeup, and he was sweating a lot because it was really hot in the studio.
And
And
Nixon was a hot man.
sure as hell was.
Not a crook though.
Anyway, continue, Seth. I cut off his thought making a joke.
I think what he was trying to
No.
say was
You're right.
that looks is playing too much of a game in politics now. And I've personally met people who said, yeah, I used to vote for people who had the longest name, or I used to vote for the person who had the prettiest face.
Who said that?
One of my, he was a teacher. I don't remember what he taught.
He had the longest name. There was so many syllables in there. There was like a vowel and a...
He said that's how his parents voted, so he started voting like that. And then
Longer name
he
equals
grew up
power.
a little bit, luckily. And I was like, there have to be people still like that around who just vote for no good reason. Just like,
It's like people when they take the ACT and they just like go ACDC, ACDC, or like draw pictures or something.
or I don't really care for him much, but Howard Stern went around asking people in New York. Also, Jay Leno did the same thing, asking people like, how do you feel about Obama? And quoted either
was
Mitt
McCain's
Romney's
policies.
or John McCain's policies. And like, oh yeah, dude, I really like that about Obama. And just people don't know anything. They don't try to stay informed.
Jimmy Kimmel does that too. He's done some pretty funny
The
ones.
cult of personality.
Cult of
Right. So the people are obviously
What
voting
happened with the Romans?
either on something that is obviously not important. Maybe they're voting on their looks. They're voting on their ethnicity. They're voting on their class. I don't know what it is, but it's not because they're going to be good at what they're doing.
You should preface this by saying that not everybody votes based on that because
No,
they're
not
gonna like
everybody.
okay because I didn't want to vote for either Romney or Obama because I was very much against both of them.
And we couldn't write in Oklahoma or vote for a third party.
I hate
Yeah.
that about Oklahoma.
I wanted to vote for.
Because I essentially thought they were very similar in their with key differences. I mean, there obviously are key differences, but they're pretty much the same. They both want to expand the government, and they both wanted to more taxes and stuff like that. Anyway, not important. So what I'm
He
saying
was
is,
Mitt
you
Romney was
should
the
make
author
the point.
of the Massachusetts healthcare, so he was going to pass something very similar, which
Yeah.
is what the Affordable Care Act was based off of.
Yeah, it
so
was based
how
off
was
of
it going to
Romney's
be
Act.
any different?
No, you're true. It's true. But what I'm saying is you shouldn't say that everybody votes that way because there are people that definitely vote because they truly believe in what their party says. They believe that abortion is completely wrong and they could never vote for a party that condones it. They believe that women should have the right to choose and they would never vote for a party that would limit that. So you shouldn't say that it's just
Straight line.
straight line because you made it kind of sound that way. That's all I'm saying. Some people do have passions and they believe in things and they vote based on those beliefs and whichever candidate represents those beliefs better. But I do agree with you that there's a good chunk of people out there that are just like, I don't care.
Yeah, no,
I get to get off
I
work.
agree.
I'm gonna buy a breakfast burrito while I'm out.
Breakfast
Dude.
burrito.
That's the smartest thing I've heard
Zesty
all day.
breakfast burrito.
What they should do
Sonic
is they should
Super
vote for the
Breakfast
burrito.
Oh, the ultimate meat and cheese burrito. Oh, it's so good.
Jalapenos and
No, that one doesn't have the jalapenos, but
what? You don't get the good one.
no, I get the best one. The ultimate meat and cheese got the bacon,
Oh,
sausage, egg,
See
tater
what I'm
tots,
saying?
Supersonic
zesty cheese
breakfast
sauce.
burrito.
You guys are proving my point here. One man for the best burrito, another man for the other best burrito.
Dude,
when
There
really
is
can't we-
only one best
Any
burrito.
kind of
Josh.
fried potato
Qdoba.
on a burrito is a winner.
That is a
Taco
fact.
Bell has like the half-pound potato burrito. That thing's amazing.
You get that and a shredded chicken burrito, and you are set.
Dude, I get 2 of those and a queso burrito and a large Mountain Dew Baja Blast. That's what I get every time I go to Taco Bell. That's my Taco Bell.
Dude, that Baja Blast is amazing.
They actually started
It
selling
is.
it now. Did you know that?
Oh, isn't that just like blue Gatorade
I
and
am not
Mountain
a
Dew?
fan.
I don't know. No, it's like
Or blue Powerade.
That's where I heard that. I got one the other day and I was like, somebody told me something about.
I don't know. I don't know if
remember
that's
what it was,
I don't know
though.
if that's a fact.
I'm not a fan
but
of it. I think it tastes.
I
pretty
like
gross.
it. It's good. You're gross.
Dude, my sister says it tastes like soap. Do you think it tastes like soap?
Yeah, that's actually a really good description of what it tastes like.
That's
You know-
interesting.
You know why I love this
Dude,
podcast?
you know what though? I love ginger, and my dad was like,
For
ginger
Marianne.
tastes like soap to me. But like,
That was
I
terrible
eat the
stuff.
crap
Yes,
out
it
of
was.
ginger. It's awesome.
The ginger's okay. It's not bad. I like it. I use it when I cook a lot, but I wouldn't just eat it raw because
Dude, when you eat sushi, you don't eat raw ginger?
actually I don't like the pickled ginger that they use.
You're supposed to eat it like after
Because
every bite of sushi.
I'm trying to
Cleanse your
destroy my sinuses when I eat sushi by using as much wasabi as I can.
Well, that's the
and
way
the
to
ginger
go.
takes away
Me
from
too, dude.
Can I
that's
say
the-
something?
that's the
Can I
best-
just say
that's the
something?
best burn.
I just want to say something right now.
that. Sandwiches.
I love this podcast because we talk about the things I love the most, which is burritos and hating on the government.
The things that matter and the things that don't.
And I'm sure we're going to talk about space, conspiracy theory, aliens, and like weird creatures in the deep ocean. at some
Dogs.
point.
We haven't even gotten to like spirituality or like religion or like anything like that yet.
Video games.
Dude, I was reading. Speaking
I
of
tried to-
spirituality,
Someday we probably will.
I tried to lead into spirituality with Seth on the first podcast. I was like, do you believe that anything's out there, angels or demons? And you're like, no, I'm just going to talk about like normal fleshy meat people.
Normal fleshy meat.
So I'm reading
You heard it here first.
I'm reading John Dies at the end, and they had a really cool description of hell that I thought was crazy. And he was talking about how hell isn't just devils and pitchforks. He's like, there's other stuff there, like worms and creatures you wouldn't ever imagine. He's like, because it's just the cesspool of the universe. It's like the drain where everything that shouldn't be goes.
Oh, there's like lots of gunked up soap and hair everywhere.
Oh,
That's really gross trying to clean out drains.
Dude, I heard-
because of that.
I heard somebody say on the internet, I think it was like a comment on Reddit, but somebody said hell, or just the afterlife is a place full of people just like you. So whether or not it's heaven or hell just kind of depends on you. And I was like, that's kind of neat. I like that. I don't know that I think that.
You're going to be
but
with
it's
your
neat.
cronies one way or another.
I would be really annoyed all the time because I think I would annoy myself.
You annoy us, so.
I know.
Yeah, you should. No, I'm joking.
And it's true that like people that are a lot like you, like you see it a lot when people are like just like one of their parents. Like that's typically the parent they can't get along with. Not always.
It's.
I don't know. I'm
true.
just like my dad, and we get along great.
I'm just like mom, and we get along great.
Dude, I'm just like my mom,
just the
and we get
opposite, I
along
guess.
great. Actually, me and my mom like have a closeness that can only come from like yelling at each other and having like arguments, and that being okay, because we know how we feel about each other, and we know it doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, we're supportive.
Chase was flailing his arms. What do you need to say?
It's
Chase?
just like he was telling the story of my life just now with me and my mom. Like we've yelled at each other so much we don't even listen anymore. What we're saying, we're like, I love you anyways.
Yeah,
Even though you just told me to go die.
dude. Our,
You just told me to go die.
I know you love me.
Most of my mom and me's relationship consists of us like shaking our head in frustration at Josh and and my dad.
what you have in common is hatred for your brother.
It's like, oh, they're doing it again.
And me and Dad are just having a good time. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Anyway,
Well, speaking of other things, it reminded me of a story that I really like to tell of, you know, you hate each other and you yell at each other so much, but you know you love each other deep down inside. And growing up with my older brother, we had gotten in a fight, and then of course my mom comes to break it up like a good mother, and she's talking to me, and my brother's behind her back, and she can't see him. And my mom's yelling at me really bad because I probably started it. And so she's yelling at me, but he's also yelling at me, but silently with emotion. And he's just using his finger across his throat. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to effing kill you. Like the whole time, like, what? Come at me, bro. Come at me. While my mom's yelling at me and like trying to pull me away. Oh, it's so much fun.
That's
I love
amazing.
my mom and brother so much. I just have a lot of good memories with them.
I like good memories of hating people.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Like
One of my
you.
coworkers today asked me, they're like, you got any brothers, Josh? And I was like, yeah, I got a brother. And they're like, do you like him or dislike him? I was like, well, we're pretty close in age, and I love him, and he's probably my best friend, but if I could punch him in the face once, I probably would. Like, just, it's
I
just
think
like,
that's what it is to really love someone.
Yeah.
You just want to beat the piss out of them, but you love them.
yeah.
What's her name? Female comedian. I don't remember. I might think of it in a minute. But she said, the definition of love is
What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me.
is somebody that you would die for that you also want to kill.
Was that Tig Notaro?
No.
No?
She had I don't know, man. I'll just look it up.
Okay.
Maybe.
Was it Amy Schumer?
No, she had a sitcom. She kind of has like blackish hair. She's like pretty good looking.
Sarah Silverman?
No, she is too, but this is a different chick.
Okay.
She on the roasts, on the Comedy Central roast, she's on there. She's on those.
Okay, not important.
Oh, this
I
is
don't know.
killing
You
me.
can
I
look
don't
it
even
up.
know how to look her up. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't matter.
Family's a fun
I want to give her
topic,
credit,
though.
but I can't.
Sure is.
Yeah. But yeah, I told her that if I could punch you in the face, I probably would.
And you know I would do the same.
Yeah, I know. That's what love is, right?
So you obviously think each other is stupid, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
He's a
speaking
moron.
of stupid people,
I don't think he's a moron.
I'm kidding.
we're talking about how stupid people are just with the voting and YouTube being completely retarded.
Oh, dude, YouTube is amazing.
YouTube is the best.
You too.
Oh.
I was like, YouTube is awesome, and we kind of proved his point.
Yes, exactly.
I love YouTube.
Are retarded. Einstein had a really good quote that said, "There are two things that are infinite: the universe and human stupidity."
It should
and
be
I'm not so
known.
sure about the former.
It should be known that while Chase is speaking, we're in his house, in his computer room, and there's a giant photo of Einstein on the wall.
Dude,
He's kind of looking at us.
if there was, I can't ever
He's got that
decide.
cheeky eyebrow raised,
He does,
too.
dude. That's a sexy eyebrow.
If there was,
He's like, what?
What?
if there was one person
You fought
I
my
could
body.
talk to that has passed away already, besides, like, let's just forget any type of religious thought. I can't ever decide between Einstein and Sir Isaac Newton. I can't ever decide. Those two are like my personal heroes of science and
Not
intellect.
Tesla?
Yeah, dude. Tesla would be where I would be going.
Tesla
Freaking-
was awesome.
I'm sorry, like, they're just,
Leonardo da Vinci?
Nah.
dude.
they're both
Sir
really
Isaac
awesome.
Newton invented math, dude. To invent
did
I
not.
want to figure
No,
this stuff
he
out.
invented
Calculus.
calculus. He didn't invent
He
math.
did not invent math.
He invented mathematical disciplines. Whatever.
No, he didn't.
Calculus is a mathematical discipline.
I thought you meant like as a whole. Like, no. Sorry.
Yes.
Get
yes.
out of here, historian.
Nathan is right. He did essentially discover calculus.
Okay.
How hard would that be? Like, to be the first person? Okay, it's really hard. I have done calculus. Calculus is hard. Teaching calculus would be even harder because you have to understand it that much more. To discover calculus for the first time in the human race is even that much harder.
That we know of.
Okay, yeah, that we know of in recorded
Well,
historical
actually, yeah.
time.
There was who was the other guy that was literally thinking of the
Jeff
same?
Goldblum.
No.
No, I know who you're talking
Life
about.
finds a way.
He was thinking of the same theories and stuff, but about a year later, before,
Arsenio Hall.
yes, it was Arsenio Hall. Arsenio Hall had figured out all these, it's not Arsenio Hall.
Really?
Yeah. He had also
Arsenio
come up with
Hall.
calculus a year later, on a different part of the earth, like different nation, but it was before like Newton's word had spread to him. But Newton gets credit because he did it first, but it was like
Well,
almost,
if he did it first, he did it first.
I know, but they had no contact.
But it's kind of cool how they both.
You're gonna have to find me that and send that to me. 'Cause I don't
No,
know
but
I'll look
no,
it over
that
right
is
now.
a thing. But I find it interesting how like they both kind of thought of it at, like close
Oh, yeah,
to the
sure.
exact same time.
And I won't. If the person legitimately did that, I'm not going to discredit his intelligence.
Well, no,
well,
because
no, it's just it's like
it's
the,
proven that he legitimately did.
Okay.
It was just bad luck because he did it at the wrong time. He did it at the same time as someone else who
You
got it
guys-
out first.
have you guys
That's
heard of
still
the
something
theory?
to hang your hat on, man. You discovered.
Yeah, no
Alright.
joke.
You didn't discover calculus. You invented calculus. That's
Have you guys heard
Rad.
the primate theory where, so they observed these primates that on this island, one of them had started using tools and suddenly all of the other ones now knew how to use tools. And
Yeah.
like it was farther than that. People observing primates on different parts of the planet that didn't have any interaction with these primates, those primates were now using tools also. Like a
I've
specific
heard the
way.
same thing with dogs as well.
Yeah, a specific
global
way.
consciousness,
Jags.
man. We're all
No,
just
and that's what I'm saying. That's what a lot of people-
receivers for like one consciousness.
That's what a lot of people chalk it up to.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Anybody
so.
out there, and all of you three need to look up quantum consciousness. There are such good
seen
articles on
Yeah.
that.
I've seen like
Quantum
YouTube
consciousness is
videos
cool.
like quantum consciousness, and I'm like, that's an hour long, but I'll watch it later.
There's tons of quantum.
I think I
stuff.
have one in my watch later list actually.
I
that
only
I've
watch
been
things
meaning to
that are
watch.
5 minutes or less on YouTube, or an hour or more. Like, I really don't ever go
That's
in
a
between.
good system.
No, it isn't.
I either
No,
want,
it's
not.
I want a
I've seen
soundbite.
so many good things that are like 30 minutes, 35 minutes long.
I watched a 15-minute
right.
TED Talk today that I think changed my life. So come on.
Which one?
Have you seen the TED Talk that talks about how stupid TED Talks are?
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's like, how to write a good TED Talk. Is it that one?
Yes.
And how formulaic it is.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed it as a TED Talk, even though it was saying how stupid it was.
Is lampooning TED Talks.
Whoa, wait a minute. Let me just let that marinate.
Well, let me go get the marijuana. We can talk about this some more. I mean,
He got really meta there with that. But yeah, no, it was the one I'm talking about. I can't remember his name, but it was Sell All Your Crap. Like, just watch it. It's about a guy who, him and his wife were in $18,000 worth of debt, and then they had a baby, and the day their baby was born, they decided that they were going to change their lives, because why not? You know, it's a good time to do it.
Babies do that.
And what they did is they sold
If
literally,
you're intelligent.
they decided they were going to sell everything they owned down to 2 small backpacks.
And the baby.
No,
they
they
sell
kept
the
the
baby.
baby. They're going to sell everything
is
they
the baby
own
worth?
down to 2 small backpacks, try and get rid of all the debt that they could, and then spend however long it took them to backpacking across Australia.
With a baby?
Yeah, with the baby.
Okay.
Did dingoes eat it?
No.
Wow.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know why I said
It was the
unfortunately.
kangaroos who got it. No! The drop bears.
No, not the drop bears. But yeah,
Jacob tried to sell me that. I was like, dude, that's fake. And he was like, no.
what's a drop bear?
He didn't
It's a
actually,
koala.
He didn't actually believe it, but he was trying to get me, I don't know, he was trying to get me to
I've
believe
never
it.
heard this.
Like, Jacob,
Drop. It's like a fake name for koalas.
they're a koala with like vampire teeth, basically, and
Oh
they
my
like
gosh,
drop
that's
out of
hilarious.
trees. And,
They
like,
kill
attack.
people.
They're called drop bears because they like drop out of the trees onto you, which is like,
Have you ever seen a koala do anything? They're not going to attack anybody.
It's because they're high all the time.
all the time.
Eucalyptus leaves will get you. Well, they'll kill a person, but they have a like psychotropic effect on the koala bears. And koala bears are so strangely evolved that that's all they can eat.
dude, okay, koala bears are high all the time, and have you ever met anybody that didn't like a koala bear?
They give you AIDS.
I find that an not if you don't have sex with them.
No, I mean they carry. They're a harbinger of the HIV virus. So I mean, if you get their blood on you,
Harbingers of doom.
they are. They're adorable little monsters of death and destruction. Hence the drop bear.
I just like, I haven't held one personally. I want to before I die. I think that's a really good goal.
And then you'll die.
I think that's a good goal.
But when people like pick them up and hold them and they just like wrap their arms around your neck and just like chill there, I'm like, oh,
They're so dumb though. Also, they're so incapable. If you, I watched a video where these guys had to, if the eucalyptus leaves isn't on a leaf, like a stick and like a twig, you know, with the leaves off of it, they don't know what to do with it. They stripped eucalyptus leaves off of like a eucalyptus branch and put it on a plate, and the koala looked at it like, what do I do with this? And didn't know how to eat it. But then when they put that same koala, like moments later, they held out like a stick with the leaves on it. He was like, ooh, leaves. And just went to town eating it.
They are-
And then they took it away, and he just looked at those leaves and didn't know what to
They
do.
are dumb as rocks.
They're dumb.
they're high all the time. They're
They're-
stoners.
They're adorable.
Stoners. All right, look, I don't have a problem with stoners. Actually, that's not
They're
true.
not as bad as
I've known
peacocks.
tons of really intelligent stoners. That's not true either. I've known intelligent stoners. Anyway, maybe.
I've known intelligent stoners, but that doesn't mean that they get anything done.
It's true.
Yeah. But
Okay,
there's a
so-
lot of intelligent people that don't get anything done.
That's true. And there's a lot of people get things done that are really stupid.
What do you guys think about this?
Life is complicated.
Right.
I watched a TED Talk today about how life isn't complicated. It was really good.
Of course you did,
You
Josh.
get out.
He was just talking
Didn't
about...
we just talk about how stupid Ted was?
Kinda. Okay, so how about this? Primates all learning to use tools at the same time. Isaac Newton and whatever that other guy's name was, so I can't remember, and I need to look it up.
Both of them primates.
Both of them primates, technically, yeah. Learning calculus at the relatively the same time. Is that an example of fourth dimensional physics? Because if all things are happening all at once in the fourth dimension, I mean, is that what that is?
Is that true? I thought the fourth dimension was time.
No, I think that would be really interesting.
It's part
Is
No.
it
Part-
it
I mean, there is
natural
time in the fourth dimension.
or is it supernatural? Is essentially what you're asking.
No, I'm just asking. Well, no, that's a
Yes.
completely different topic. No, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking
Was
is,
that-
what I'm asking is that an example of fourth dimension physics? Because, okay, so if you yourself were to enter the fourth dimension, what you would see is every single moment of, well, okay, you would see everything, but also you would see every single moment of your life. You would exist all at once. From zygote to dust, you would see it all.
Zygote to dust smoke because they rhyme.
Zygote to dust
I like
mode.
that. Thank you, Seth.
You would see everything. That was really good. Because that's how it works. So, if everything is connected in the fourth dimension, when one something learns
Yeah.
a trait, would it stand to reason that somewhere else in the world, another one would do it?
That doesn't make any sense.
That makes sense to me. Does that make sense to anyone else?
Somebody explain.
I mean, yes, but I think you're going way
I
too
wasn't
in
listening.
depth about it.
I didn't think you went in depth enough.
The thing about it is, like, yeah, they thought of it at the same time, but if you really look at it, I mean, it's not that weird that two people would come up with the same theory at the, close to
question-
the same time. It just happens.
Was it the fact?
It's
Okay.
so crazy.
Was it the fact that both of their societies had advanced enough to allow them to study, and then the natural next step in what was needed for both societies?
Could be.
Yeah, they're two
Could
brilliant, well-learned people
God,
in
what was the other guy?
in a similar field who happen to be studying the same thing, come across at the same time. That's not that crazy of a coincidence, is
Or
it?
was calculus seeded to humanity on the backs of crystals by another alien race?
Yes!
Get out of
That
here.
is what happened. It's written into our DNA. Is there such a thing as junk DNA? Is that a real thing?
Yes, that is a real term, but I can explain that.
Of course you can.
It's a real term. They used to believe that you had junk DNA that really didn't do anything, and thus the term now it's a misnomer. They know that no DNA is junk DNA.
We just don't understand it yet.
I
Or it's
think
not
we do.
really used.
It's dormant. so essentially there are triggers that will cause parts of your DNA to awaken. So it could be the fact that you live in a very hot society here in Oklahoma. The summers are pretty much next to hell. And when you move to another location, if you live there long enough, you might put away certain DNA that allows you to have a certain metabolism in the hot environments. And if you lived in Norway, you would completely alter your metabolism depending on, I guess your home environment and such.
So you're talking about epigenetics is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense.
I think the definition of epigenetics is the fact that
passing on genes based on, I mean, it's not quite epigenetics, but I get what you're saying.
I think, I could be wrong, epigenetics is actually altering what your DNA is by your choices and your physical action.
Dude, isn't that crazy?
That you can alter your DNA. It is really crazy.
You know, like the other day we were talking about...
So, Richard Dawkins' book, The God Delusion.
I hate that book.
You merely dance
Not because
to
of the
your
atheism
DNA.
either, by the way.
I missed what you said.
I said I hate that book, but it's not because of the atheism. I hate it because he's so full of himself.
Oh, well, that too, and also the fact that I think most people can agree with that we don't merely dance to our DNA. But if you agree with his other arguments, then you have to agree that we do merely dance to our DNA. First off, are we merely physical beings? If we are merely physical beings, then yes, we do dance to our DNA. If we stem from what I like to think of, what I termed earlier, quantum consciousness, then consciousness was first and thus produces all other realities, which I think modern science is very much showing that is what is true. It's the holographic universe that even Einstein 100 years ago said that the unfortunate part of life is that everything that we're a part of is a persistent, what do we call that?
Persistent illusion?
Yeah, it's an illusion, although very persistent. That's obviously not a direct quote.
Einstein said this, and then he had a bro at the end.
Bro.
Bro, it's all delusion, bro.
Reality
whoa.
is like an illusion, bro.
Brah.
But he said that 100 years ago, and modern scientists today are just now stating that, well, we believe that what we're seeing right now is actually pretty much a hologram, and that we are actually part of a larger existence elsewhere. What in God's name does that mean? These are.
Well, like, have you ever heard of like the fractal theory?
I love fractal theory, yeah.
It's basically that like we're just kind of
black
like
holes?
part of an atom that's like part of another universe that's part of an atom. That's
It
like
just
part
gets
of another
bigger. It's
universe.
all turtles all
It's
the way
like
down.
You
Okay.
just keep zooming in and keep zooming in, and it just like more universes as you go.
Let's.
I don't know that
simplify
that's true, but I saw it on Men in Black and it looked really cool on Men in Black.
I understand what that is. What that's called is infinite regress.
Yeah.
What that argument stems from is, okay, everything has a initiation process. Like something ignites it, something pushes it. So essentially every reaction has an equal and opposite reaction.
Yes.
So everything is reacting to something else. There are only two forms of thought in this. Only two. You can only be in one of two parties. Either you believe in infinite regress where something else always caused something else, and it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever, and essentially your basis is there is no truth, it's all relative. Or you can believe in that since there is one first uncaused cause, so saying that there is one ultimate reality, thus saying that there is something that is ultimately true. If you believe in, and I saw everyone shaking their heads no,
I was more just like,
It's mostly just because you're talking that we're shaking our heads no.
We always
Probably.
shake our heads when you talk.
But think about it for just 2 seconds. If you honestly believe in infinite regress, that there's no ultimate source of a cause, whatever that may be, whatever you want to call it, then there is no specific truth. It's all relative depending on where you're at in that time frame and where you exist in the infinity.
I don't know. This is getting really like
Do you need more beer or less beer?
almost definitely less. Objectively, but subjectively, I would like more.
So in John dies at the
there's a
end,
case here.
because I'm reading that. At one point,
Sure is.
they make the argument that at creation, whether it was God or the Big Bang or whatever started it, like whatever started everything, all atoms, all subatomic particles were set into motion. And everything you do and everything that happens is a result of those atoms going to where they're going to be.
Right.
And that nothing you do matters, which I don't believe, but that's the argument they made. And
Right,
it's a pretty
that's-
existential argument when you think about it. That because everything has a direction that it's going, and it all landed in you, Seth Turnage. It all landed the way it is. And everything you do is a reaction because of those atoms going that way.
Well, here's another topic to discuss. Scientists know that you completely replace all of your cells in your body in approximately
love this
7
argument.
years.
I love this argument.
So essentially,
You
physically, you're completely different every 7 years, give or take. So are you, using this theory, are you a physical being? Like, what makes you you?
Your genetics repeat and create this, well, for the most part.
So you
And create
do
cells.
dance to your
I'm
DNA.
I'm
So you're a clone of yourself?
If you want to think of it that way.
What? That doesn't make sense.
No, it
He said
does.
because your genetics replicate the same thing over and over again.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Except for they don't, because telomeres shorten and shorten and
Well,
shorten.
I know.
Okay.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Well, when Nathan comes back here in a minute, I'll throw out an argument that's interesting towards what you just said.
This makes me think of Star Trek. And my whole...
Yay!
You-
Teleportation theory.
yeah, I don't know if you know my whole arguments against teleportation and why I think it's a terrible thing.
Is it the same reason that Bones thinks it's a terrible thing?
I don't know why Bones thinks
Because it destroys your body completely and rebuilds it?
my whole thing is, is the person who appears at the end the same person? And if humankind actually does have a soul, if your body gets ripped into a trillion tiny little chunks and put back together, like if the person appears there, even if their body's intact, would they just be dead, like an empty shell? Because they've technically, for all intents and purposes, died.
Yeah. As far as we know, which we talked about last time, like what is death essentially? And I think a very good place to start with that is what is life? To understand one is to also understand the opposite.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily. I think we're talking about two things. I think we're talking about
Not necessarily.
the two most complex things there are.
Life and death.
Life and death, yeah. Because you can't boil them down.
And one can't fully be studied.
But one
Because one
can't
cannot be
had without
fully
the other.
experienced without...
That's what I'm saying. Like,
And
in order
reported
to know
on.
one is to also, at least in part, know the other because they are overlapping magisteria.
But the thing about death is, like I said, you can't study it the same way you can life. Because somebody dies, and after a certain amount of time, they can't be revived.
Edison seemed to think you could study it.
Edison's just...
He's the worst.
Edison was the worst.
He was. I like Tesla better.
But anyway, continue.
Well, I'm sorry, I was done with my point.
Oh,
I was,
so you're
I was
saying you can't study
it's
death,
hard.
so it's hard to
something that
argue
you
it.
can't really study fully.
So this is the point that I was going to make a minute ago. Essentially, what Chase was saying was that every 7 years, all the cells in your body are replaced, and so you're no longer, on a cellular level, you're not even the same person.
On a just in general, a material level, you're
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah. So there's an argument, I know I've said it twice already tonight, but there's an argument in John Dies at the end where the book starts out with saying, you have an axe, you buy an axe, you use it to decapitate a dead man, blah, blah, blah. Like, long story short, basically, the axe handle breaks while you're decapitating a dead man, and then you go to the store, you buy a new axe handle. Then, years later, you go to chop some wood, and the blade breaks, okay? So you go to the store, you buy a new blade for the axe. And so you have essentially a brand new axe, because it's a new handle and a new blade, even though the handle was on, you know what I'm saying? And so, somehow the dead man breaks back into your house, and he says, that's the axe that kills me. Was he right?
Yes. Because you're putting a material association with an object. It's the same axe from a intellectual point of view, but not from an actual material point of view.
But they couldn't prove it because there'd be no evidence because they're two different handles and heads.
And whether or not it was the same axe is also dependent on the person who wielded it.
True. Also, at the end of that long story, I shortened it down a lot. It's a really long story.
You like that?
But at the end
Sure
of the
did.
story, he says that if you understand this riddle, you'll understand the dark truth behind all of the universe. And I was like,
I completely agree.
But I think it is, in my opinion, it's the same axe. Well, actually, no, once the head is replaced, in my opinion, it's a different axe. But if you're going from a purely material point of view, because The handle, I think, is less important than the actual head of the axe.
It's a
Is anybody
paradox. The
thinking
whole point
about
is it's a
Monty
paradox.
You're a
Yahoo right now?
paradox.
From the forest itself comes the handle for the axe.
I
Chop
don't know
it
the
down, chop it down. Anyways,
This podcast.
Brought to you by
chop
Montes
it
Yahoo with bad
down,
singing.
chop
Mathis
it
Yahoo.
down. No.
But yeah, on a cellular level, you're replaced every 7 years. So are you the same person?
Oh, I think we can assume that yes, we are the same person. I think that is the correct assumption. But the fact that you're different materially essentially says that no, you are not merely a material object.
Well, here's
And
another
And
point.
that's kind of one of those things is like, even if it's not objectively true that you're a different person, it can mean like if all the neurons and everything still line up the same, like all your muscles and everything still work the same, like then you're effectively the same person. But like I would just say that like even if objectively it's not true that you're a different person, I think that's one of those things that you can like hold to like give you hope. Like I'm a different person all the time. Like I can just choose to be like someone else.
I am not the
if
same
I'm
person
tired
I
of
was
who
yesterday.
am. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look back 7 years. Are you the same person you were 7 years? And I mean, like, literally, on like a personality level,
I was
on like an
an idiot.
intellect level. I'm an idiot 5 minutes ago.
I'm gonna be an idiot.
I'm always an idiot.
I miss my physical shape back then.
I miss it too.
Shut up, Chase. That's not what we're talking about.
You do, Seth. I
No
know
one
you
misses
do.
it more than Seth.
No, but I'm saying, you're different. You're not the same person.
Yeah, are we all in agreement on that?
Well, it's growth and development of. I mean, you are the sum of your experiences.
So we're getting to a different point of what makes you you.
It's a number of things. I mean, I feel you are the sum of your experiences because I saw a study. It was earlier today, actually, talking about how someone who loses a parent or sibling before the age of, I think it was like 12, they have a much higher, it's not like a guarantee thing, but they have a much higher risk of like
Becoming Batman.
No. Well, yes, of certain like psychotic mental instabilities, which Batman most certainly has.
Batman's awesome. You back
Oh,
off.
he is.
Which
He
makes
is awesome.
Batman the best because
He-
he's a real person.
He is. He's a contingency plan for every member of the Justice League,
Including
himself.
That's fantastic.
But yeah,
Anyway, you were saying
but yeah, it's like they have a much higher chance. So I mean, like even, you are the sum of your experiences, in my opinion. A lot of people say, like, oh, well, there are certain people who can have the same, exact upbringing and end up completely different. Which, that's not true. They're not. They may have similar upbringings, but who's to say there wasn't like one pinnacle moment in their life where something happened that completely changed the way that they were. Now, I'm not saying like, even if two people who are completely different were somehow brought up in the exact same identical circumstances, I still think they could end up differently because of, biology and whatnot. But I still think that experience plays a much more obvious role.
So you're
certainly
saying
does.
you're going more for nurture than nature. Is what
A
you're
little
saying.
bit, yeah, I would say.
Nature versus nurture is a big deal. Like that's
It's
a hard
tough one,
argument.
man. We still haven't cracked that.
I
nut.
say both. I've always said both.
it
and
is
I think I'll
both.
Everybody
always
says
say both.
both, but I think they disagree on degrees.
That's a good point. Yeah. What degree is it? What degree are
Well,
you?
you know what's crazy is that like we have to build a society. Like we know that like from a scientific, some would say pseudoscientific, psychological standpoint, that like we know that like your experiences make you who you are, and like there's debate even about whether or not we have free will. Like because if we do have free will, like it's called, because science is about cause and effect, right? So like
Yeah.
if an action is an effect, then like what was the cause? Like, well, a thought. Okay, well if a thought's an effect, then what was the cause? And it's like, well, DNA, like, and you
Chemicals?
start getting down to like these really, when you get down to the really nitty gritty nuts and bolts of like how you behave, like, is that, I mean, that's kind of crazy, but like, I don't feel like from a scientific point of view, you can be 100% free will, because it's kind of like creating something from nothing, in my opinion. But anyway, like, without like getting too far into that, like, I think what's crazy is that like, we have to build a society around the idea that people are 100% responsible for everything that they do.
There's a dog in here.
A dog just broke into
dog
the
in here.
studio.
Yeah, there's Zelda. Oh no, Zelda.
She got a hold of everything.
Okay, you gotta go.
Hi, Link. Oh crap! I'm trying to get her from pulling cords.
And it broke into mass chaos when the dogs broke in. They ate our turkey as well. It was like a Christmas story all over.
But anyway,
Anyway,
I'm saying,
continue
like,
what
from
you're
a scientific and psychological point of view, like, we know that these things are true. Like, there are experiences that you have when you're a little kid that, like, can basically guarantee that you'll not guarantee, but, like, significantly contribute to you turning out to be a sociopath. But when you act like a sociopath, like, we still have to treat you like, we have to throw you in a cage. Like, we have to, like, give you the death penalty or whatever, despite the fact that we know that, like, nurture plays a huge role.
Well, one thing you were saying a minute ago.
So it's like, it doesn't matter what we know, we have to respond in a certain way, and, like, we can never create a justice system that's actually based on, like, the reality of how we know psychology works. That's the point that I'm making. I don't have a solution. I'm just saying I think it's crazy. And actually, I think it's the only way you can... Sorry.
No, you're fine. I want you to finish your point.
Actually, I think it's the only way you can do it. But I just think it sucks that, like, to have a government, and this is part of why I'm small government, because I think that government... To run a government and do it effectively, I think it's almost necessary for it, like, to not reflect reality and, like, what we know about reality. Like, I just don't know that can work.
The Douglas Adams School of Governance. Just completely random.
But what I was going to say about your whole thing about, something from nothing, what causes, is it nature or nurture? Which is it? It is both, because, you look at humans still have that some natural animal instincts that other animals have. Fight or flight is probably the greatest example of this. Some people have the flight mechanism, some people have the fight, and it's just part of the nature of humanity. So, the nature part was the building block that allowed nurture to become a more, I guess, influential part of who we become.
That's interesting. What about when it comes to, so we can control emotions, you know that, right? So if you have a neurosurgeon working on your brain and they stimulate the hypothalamus, you're going to feel immense happiness. So, because that is where happiness comes from. That's the part of the brain that regulates emotions, where depression, anxiety, happiness, sadness, that's where it all is generated. People that have damage to the hypothalamus tend to go crazy because they either go super flat or they just lose their minds because they can't express the emotions anymore. So being the fact that we have just a section of the brain, we're basically computers. Like, if you take a part out of the computer, it doesn't work anymore. So, you're going with brain elasticity, right?
No, I was just talking about
plasticity.
computers.
That's what I was thinking for brain elasticity.
I was just talking about
brain elasticity does work to some degree, but it doesn't always work, and it's not 100% because we don't understand
It
brain
works pretty
elasticity.
freaking well considering.
It does. No, there are people that can lose a whole chunk of their brain and still be fine.
I read a thing about a woman who realized in her 30s that she was born with like a quarter of her brain missing, and she never knew. She just thought she had migraines until they got severe, and she went and got...
That's so crazy and awesome.
She went and got a scan for it. Like, you're missing a huge chunk of your brain.
Well, she had such an advantage being born that way as opposed to having an accident, because her brain never knew it was missing it.
She never felt it rewire, basically.
Yeah, she didn't have to do...
So how much of your brain do you actually need? That's what I want.
There are people born with like half or less who live relatively normal lives.
There are people that lose half their brain and live a pretty normal life.
Dude, I heard about a 14-year-old kid who got half his brain blew out by a store armed robber. And, it was really difficult for him, but he actually came back to be quite normal, except for that head.
Except for that ugly head of his.
Well, they were able...
Wow, you're insensitive,
I
Chase.
know.
Well, he wasn't normal from the fact that he was missing half of his
Something
head.
that deviated from the norm.
Right?
These stupid body images of
People have
fully formed skulls.
When was this sexier than this?
Josh, were you making a... Sorry. Did you finish your point?
Probably not, but I don't remember what it was now.
Okay.
We get sidetracked.
I'm
do get
not
sidetracked.
bothered.
We have fun.
We were supposed to be talking about education, so
We weren't supposed to be talking about anything.
that's a good point.
That was just the springboard.
That was our springboard for
Trying
the
to
day.
educate the public. What are you
Educate
talking
the
about?
public. Learn them some
I'm not
You're looking
knowledge.
at me for education. You're in the wrong.
You
You
are-
are so...
There are some other podcasts who you could probably listen to.
There are countless other podcasts they could listen to,
But they're
but they
more
won't be as
boring.
entertained.
Yeah.
That is 100% true.
Because I think it's controlled rambling with us. It's not just like we're rambling.
Well,
Like,
we
definitely have points.
topics.
Yeah, we have topics.
It just changes every so often.
A lot.
It
just changes
It follows
frequently.
the natural flow of human thought. One topic will lead to another topic, will lead to another topic.
Patternistic.
So we should
Which
probably
brings us back to patterns.
brings us back to patterns. We can talk about patterns next week. We've gone an
Patterns.
hour
What do
and
you
15 minutes.
Ooh.
So we could probably stop.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
People are probably bored with us.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in today. Come back to us next week when we will talk about more exciting adventures of space, education, love, and everything else.
Missing
in between.
half your brain. We didn't talk
Missing
about
it.
love.
Well, we talked about love. No, we didn't. We really didn't talk about
What
love.
is love?
Baby, don't hurt
No
me.
one knows.
Don't hurt me.
No more.
What is love?
So, yeah. Tune in next week, guys.
Over and out.
Do.